The Consolidated Appropriations Act, 2021 is a $2.3 trillion spending bill that combines $900 billion in stimulus relief for the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States with a $1.4 trillion omnibus spending bill for the 2021 federal fiscal year and prevents a government shutdown. The bill is one of the largest spending measures ever enacted, surpassing the $2.2 trillion CARES Act, enacted in March 2020. The legislation is the first bill to address the pandemic since April 2020. According to the Senate Historical Office, at 5,593 pages, the legislation is the longest bill ever passed by Congress. The bill was passed by both houses of Congress on December 21, 2020, with large bipartisan majorities in support. The bill was the product of weeks of intense negotiations and compromise between Democrats and Republicans during the lame duck session. After initially criticizing the bill, President Donald Trump signed it into law on December 27, following the approval of some $2.5 trillion in stimulus in March and April. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell cautioned against any further spending. From then until mid-October, Republicans and Democrats proposed a series of prospective bills, with support mostly along party lines, and each side voicing criticism of the other party's inclusion of special interests. In September, a non-pandemic related spending bill was passed to avoid a government shutdown, allowing Congress to focus on a separate relief bill. On November 4, McConnell spoke in favor of passing stimulus during the lame duck session in November and December. 2 days later, Larry Kudlow, the director of President Donald Trump's National Economic Council, indicated that, like McConnell, the Trump administration was interested in a targeted package smaller than $2-3 trillion. On December 1, McConnell implied that some form of relief would come in the spending bill for the fiscal year of 2021. The next day, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer endorsed a $908 billion bipartisan plan. A number of Republican senators subsequently endorsed it, with Lindsey Graham saying he had discussed it extensively with Trump. On December 8, Mnuchin presented a $916 billion counter-proposal, which Pelosi and Schumer called unacceptable because it reduced funding for unemployment insurance from $180 billion to $40 billion, in exchange for a one-time $600 direct payment for adults and children. On December 11, a one-week stopgap spending bill was signed into law to allow more time to negotiate stimulus. The next week, two controversial measures from both parties were moved into a separate $160 billion bill called the Bipartisan State and Local Support and Small Business Protection Act of 2020. This bill included the Democrats' request for more state and local government aid, and the Republicans' request for a strong COVID lawsuit liability shield for businesses. Senator Josh Hawley, but this was blocked by Senator Ron Johnson. On December 18, a 48-hour stopgap bill was passed to keep the government funded through the weekend, with a one-day stopgap bill passed to prolong voting until that Monday, December 21, at the request of Senator Pat Toomey. The bill was modified to require congressional approval of future emergency lending through the Fed, and to rescind about $429 billion in unused CARES Act funding. In order to pass the bill more quickly, Congress used H.R. 133, previously the United States-Mexico Economic Partnership Act, as a legislative vehicle, amending the bill to contain its current text. During the last few days, logistical challenges arose as the bill, which consisted of some 5,500 pages of text, proved difficult to physically assemble due to printer malfunctions and a corrupted computer file. The file, representing the education portion of the bill, posed a problem in that all portions had to be combined into one overall file. Senator John Thune remarked, "Unfortunately, it's a bad time to have a computer glitch." The delays meant that the two votes in Congress were delayed late into the evening of December 21. Several members of both parties voiced unhappiness with such a large bill being presented to them, with little time to understand what was inside it. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted that the whole process was absurd. On the evening of December 21, the votes were held. With large, bipartisan majorities supporting them, the bill was split into two parts in the House, with one portion passing 327 to 85 and another portion 359 to 53. The first vote, which included funding for federal agencies, was opposed by 41 Democrats and 43 Republicans. The stimulus portion was in the latter vote, and was supported by Democrats by a 230 to 2 margin and Republicans by a 128 to 50 margin. Following that, there was a single vote in the Senate, which passed 92 to 6. Also on the night of December 21, Trump signed a week-long stopgap bill through December 28, avoiding a shutdown while